Hey guys, it's Ben with Myers Woodshop, and today I want to talk dust collection. So I've had a shop-vac in the shop for a long time now, and I've upgraded a whole lot of tools since I bought that shop-vac, and that shop-vac of course has a 2.5 inch hose to it. Most of my tools now have a 4-inch hose, and I'm just not getting enough suction. I also want to take the dust collection out of my shop and put it on the outside wall and build a cabinet so that it's not so loud inside my shop when I'm using tools. So I thought I'd get this Harbor Freight central machinery. This is the 13-gallon 1 horsepower unit. So we're going to open it up, take a look inside, and then we're going to mount it on the outside wall and see if that's a viable solution. So stay tuned. So this is what you get in the kit. The whole machine is already assembled basically. This is the power cord. As you can see kind of how long it is. I'd venture like 5 foot. You also get like an adapter. I think it goes from a 4 to a 2.5. You have 4 of these nuts that are like chrome. And then I guess this is like a chip deflector or something. They were packaged, those nuts. And these things are all packaged together. I'm not really sure how it goes, but you get 4 casters. I'm not going to take them out because I'm not actually going to use these for my shop. I'm going to mount this thing up on the wall. So I'm going to screw this straight into the studs outside or some sort of frame. So I'm not even going to take them out of the box. You get the instruction manual, and then you get the canvas bag here. You can't get the canvas dust collection bag. Goes on like this. It's got a strap that kind of holds it on like that. And the dust collection is 13 gallon, which is an improvement because right now I only have 5. Although I do have a dust deputy, but since this is going outside in a perfectly enclosed cabinet, I could really care less how the dust comes out as long as it's not inside the shop. Almost thinking about just running a pipe down and blowing it in behind the shop because it's just gonna decay material. But I guess I'll be nice to the neighbors and I'll attach the bag and dispose of it properly. So that's everything that comes in the box. Let's plug it in and count the decibel levels on this thing. And then I'm going to show you my current dust collection with the shop-vac, and we'll count the decibel levels with that. Alright, so we're in my shop, and this is the decibel level right now. I'm using something called DBX. We're at about 39 when I am not speaking. When I'm speaking, we're at 70. So we're going to turn our vacuum on in the shop-vac first, what I currently have. Of course, that's above me and not right in front of me where my phone is to count the decibels, but let's see what we're hitting. Alexa, vacuum on. Alexa, vacuum off. So you can see we hit a little over 70, and that's with the shop-vac up above me in the loft area. So now let's turn on this one. Naturally it's right in front of us, so it may be a little louder, but let's see what it gets to. So that hit over 80. Again, we're right in front of it. It was kind of vibrating the table. And it had a little bit lower of a pitch. It's not whiny like the shop-vac is. So even though it's a decibel higher, it's still better to the ears. So we'll remeasure this when it's outside mounted, and I'll come back to this decibel level. But there it is in front of you. All right, so the first thing that everyone says to do is to remove these grates that are here and here because it'll get clogged in about 4 seconds. So I'm just going to take this off and remove that. Alright, the grate's back on. We're going to turn it around. Now we gotta remove this one in here. So we're gonna take off these 4 bolts. There's the grate. We're just gonna pop this off, remove that, we won't need it. Then we're gonna place this back onto the machine. Alright, so our grates are gone. Our hands will go all the way in. When we get sucked up, we can get everything right out. And we won't be stopping any particles. That's one bummer about this. You're going to stop anything bigger than this. And wow, stuff is easy to come out as in a wood shop. So, alright, we're going to go out to the outside and kind of lift this up and see. I'll show you where I'm going to put it. So here's my shop in its current state. And I usually have my dust collector. You can see it's just one hose, and I just attach it to whatever machine I'm using or a vacuum. So let me show you. This vacuum hose, 2.5 inch, goes up into the loft area. You can see I run it like this. Goes to my dust deputy, which goes to this metal bucket because all my things were imploding. And then the other side goes over onto the other half of the shop. Right back in that little corner is my shop-vac. So my plan is to come over this way, and right outside this wall is the outside of my shop where my roof overhangs, protecting my four-wheeler and such. I'm going to mount this vac outside on this wall here. I'm going to cut a hole in the overhang ceiling to bring the wire for the plug and the hose. And I'm going to run it right along the front of that beam and then kind of wiggle it to right around here so it'll wrap the opposite way where I hang this hose. So let's go outside and see if it'll fit outside. We're coming out the shop, and here is the shop. You just saw I was standing here. This is the wall where my vacuum and such is on right now. And then we're going to come over to the side of the shop. So you have this cool overhang here. So my thought was, right over here, I'll hang the vacuum right here. I'll have the dust bag kind of below it, and I'll enclose that into a shelf. So let's check it out. So I want to hang it on the stud. So essentially all I'm going to do is get 2 2x4s across, mount that in the studs, and then I'm going to attach that with some lag bolts through the 4 holes on the bottom of the frame. So let's cut 2 2x4s, 16, and then attach this thing to those 2x4s. So we got our 2 pieces. Now we need to go outside and mount these pieces outside onto the wall. I'm going to measure these holes, stick them outside, level it, and then we can mount this onto these 2x4s. At this point, I had finished, it was installed, everything was working. It wasn't working very well. The 1 horsepower dust collector and all that hose and line coming down in the shop just was not getting the suction you really wanted. It would suck out chips, but they would get stuck in the line, and I was really bummed out. I wanted to probably down the line invest in their 2.5 horsepower from Harbor Freight, and I knew I wouldn't get my money back because I just waited too long. So I was bummed out, and I had gone to Workbench Con, met the folks from Rockler, and they decided to work with me and send out their 1.5 horsepower machine that has about twice the CFM suction. So this is the machine they sent me. I'll leave links in the description below if you want to check that out. It is double the CFM, and it's 1.5 horsepower, and it's about the same size. So I'm gonna show you some video of me swapping that out. I apologize for the nighttime footage. That's just when my friends were available, so that's when I had to film. I want to thank Rockler for sending out this dust collector and all the accessories for it. Make sure to check them out at rockler.com. Okay, so I just finished mounting the new one outside. My friends helped me at night because that's when they could come over, so it was hard to see and show you. But I got the new one mounted out here, you can see. But in here, that I have my insulation, but the connection was so close over here, I actually had to come on the other side. Here I am on the other side. I had to cut this access panel out so I can connect that hose. So that little piece I cut out is right here. I framed it out, and now I'm just gonna mount it here and screw it on like that. I'm just gonna screw it on, and then I can unscrew it anytime I need to use it and get access to the hose off and on. Hopefully I won't have to do that, and I'll just paint this over here. So if you're gonna do it, make sure you get the right size and start with the right size dust collector from the start. If I could do it all over again, I'd go with this Rockler one in a heartbeat. This is model 54352, 12 amp, 120 or 1250 CFM. It's got a 1.5 horsepower motor. So it is way, way better than the Harbor Freight one that was out here. That just didn't suck. It was the 1 horsepower. If you're doing that, just don't buy it. Terrible. It is not enough power. Maybe enough power if you're like directly connecting it to your tool alone, but not enough to run hose like I have all the way through my shop and that. So get the Rockler from the beginning. Now the dust bin that came with it was bigger than this one, so I kept the same one and gave the other one away because I didn't want to rebuild the whole box, and this is plenty for my needs and easy to pull out. So that is where my dust collector sits. You can see it's on the outside of my shop, and it's right in here. I want you to listen how great this is now inside. Okay, we're back inside, and I have the mic on me, of course, but from the Harbor Freight one, I just put 4 little grommets on the outside when I attached it, right where the anchors were, and it had a lot of vibration. My wall control's over here, and it's all metal, so it all jingle and jangle. I couldn't set anything up on these shelves because they'd vibrate right off. Now this one came with a big long rubber grommet across the top and the bottom, and I'm not sure if it's just a smoother motor or the longer grommets or a combination of both, but when I turn this on, it doesn't vibrate at all. So I'm gonna use the remote that came with it. I'm just gonna hit on. It's on. It is a lot smoother. You can hear a lot more suction, but that wall control isn't shaking at all, and it's just a 2x4 with some plywood on either side. So the smoothness is 100% better. It's about the same noise level. Again, I'm just talking normally in my shop. It is so much quieter in here. And this remote works anywhere in the shop. It's not an infrared, so you don't have to point it at it. It's a radio frequency, so it can get in a decent sized shop, and you don't have to have it line of sight, which is great when it's on the other side of the wall. So this is what it's like on this side of the wall, and then I just hit off, and it just came down, and you can barely hear it now. All right, so here's some dust. This is where my dust port is. I'm going to show you how terrible the Harbor Freight works. Alexa, vacuum on.
Okay.
This is how close I can get. I mean, this is really loose, easy dust, and it barely sucks any up. I can put my hand to about here. It can't hold my hand with the suction on it. So when I put the nozzle on, you can see how close I'm getting, and it's still barely sucking. That's about as good as I'm getting. There's hardly any suction down here. So let's swap it out. Alexa, vacuum off. All right, so I have a pile of dust in front of me again. This is with the new Harbor Freight dust collector attached. So I have no attachment on the end. Let's suck up some just like I did with the video before this. Again, I turned it on with the controller. It's very quiet, and you can see that it's already sucking. We have a lot more suction, and I can actually hear it go all the way up the hose and out. Now let me attach this port. You can see I have really good suction. It's still not sucking it from 1 foot away. I got to get pretty close, but it has a lot more suction than it previously did, and I can suck it all up relatively fast compared to the first time with the Harbor Freight. And if I take it off, nothing comes out. And if I turn it off, nothing dumps out. So there is a lot more suction. I know one thing people are gonna say is it's sucking all of your air conditioning or heat in here and blowing it outside. That's why I put the insulation all around the inside of the thing, out the holder outside, to keep that air when it blows in there, to try to keep it in there. And there's a big enough hole up in the top to where air can return back, but still keep most of the noise out. So honestly, I can run this for like 30 minutes in here, and I don't really feel the air change in my shop. And again, my shop is about 350 square feet. So it's pretty small, and it would suck out a lot of air real fast. So it's not that big of an issue for me, especially the way I did it. And if it's an issue for you, don't mount it outside. So there you have it, guys. That is my dust collector in a nutshell. It is now outside. A huge shout out to Rockler for solving my problem with the Harbor Freight one that did not have enough suction. Check out Rockler. Again, the link's in the description below. That's the 1250 CFM 1.5 horsepower version. It is really good, and I should have bought that from the start. So don't be a fool like me. Do the same. Get the right one and build the box around it that gives it enough room for you to work easily. I have gotten the space back in my shop that was up top, and when you're in a small shop like mine, a 16 by 20, space is paramount, so every square inch you can grab is key. You get a lot more area to work in. If you like this video or you dislike this video, hit the thumbs up or thumbs down. Let me know why in the comments below. If you have a question about my setup, leave a comment down below. I'll try to answer every single one. Also, anything I used in this video is in the links in the description, and that helps me out to provide more videos for this channel. So, as always, I'm Ben from Myers Woodshop. Thanks for watching. Happy woodworking.